Hey, what's up guys? This is Rudy from Civic, and today I'm going to show you how to adjust your Skunk2 coilovers. The coilover adjustments are pretty identical on most coilover systems. They are going to be a little bit different if they don't have certain feature sets such as adjustable ride height separate from the coil spring preload or tension. But the theory or the ideas behind this is pretty identical or very similar to a lot of the other coilovers. So let's go ahead and walk you through the process and get you on your way to slamming your ride. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is set the preload on these springs. Now, what I went ahead and did was actually loosen this up just to show you guys how you wanna start off with a kind of a loose setting here. You're gonna put about 5 millimeters of compression. I think that's about 5/30 seconds for all you standard guys. So we'll go ahead and snug this up to where there's no play here. And right about there. You can use this lower collar, the locking collar, to as a reference point. And then we're going to go ahead and snug this up here. And you're going to go till you have about a 5 millimeter gap right in there. Another way of doing that though is if you can get a good measurement of the spring. So say right here you're snugged up and there's no kind of loose spring action going on. You can go ahead and grab a tape measure, get your measurement there, and then you're going to take off about, again, 5/30 seconds, about 5 millimeters off that length to compress the spring and set the proper preload on the spring. Now that you have the spring properly preloaded, you want to make sure you lock your lock collar here. So what you'll do is either with the spanner wrenches, you want to make sure you have that nice and snug, or you could use these notches here, get a screwdriver and hammer, or maybe a drift and a hammer, and tap that down to where it's nice and snug. Now moving on to the lower mount. This lower mount bolts onto the knuckle. As you can see, if you don't already know, this upper mount here bolts onto the strut tower of your chassis. But working our way down to the knuckle here, we have the adjustment or the locking collar for the lower mount. So what you're going to do is, if you want to adjust the length or height of your car, the height of your car, the length of the strut, you could go ahead and twist this one way to lengthen it, twist this the other way to shorten that. Once you have your coilover preset how you want it, you want to make sure you duplicate this kind of these settings or dimensions and lengths to be identical on the opposite side. Now you want to do this left to right, not necessarily front to back, especially on this car. This car has a completely different suspension setup, so we'll go over that in just a minute here. One other thing I did want to tell you, which is another kind of adjustable setting. Well, you have two adjustable settings up here. One is going to be your camber. You see the camber slot there. The upper mount or the upper pillow ball bushing has some area to kind of slot around, and you could dial in your camber settings using these Allen bolts here. In addition to that, you have your adjustment wrench or adjustment knob, for your dampening settings, and that will stiffen up or soften up the shock. Normally for an initial setting, you want to use start somewhere in the middle for the valving or the adjustment knob for the shock, and that'll get you at a good starting point. After that, you can go ahead and tighten it up or loosen it down, whichever way you see fit. One quick tip I did want to mention to you guys is you want to try and mark these in relation to the coilover body, the threaded portion here. Use some kind of a metal marker or some kind of a marker that you can use to keep an eye on these collars and the perch and the locking nuts. Basically, if anything starts moving on you, you might hear some clunking. These front springs might start coming loose, being that it's a McPherson strut style suspension. So you want to make sure these don't move on you. Mark them. That way, whenever you maybe rotate your tires, or if you're hearing any kind of noise and when you want to do an inspection, you'll be able to see what might be going on. Moving on to the rear suspension. Sometimes some people are confused as to why the coilovers are, spring separate from shock in the rear. It's really just a matter of, the stock suspension design uses this style of setup. So you kind of, have to play by their rules. So for the 8th and 9th gen Civics, the procedure is pretty much the same on this. What we have here is the adjustable spring perch, and this will basically reset your ride height. This collar here for the Skunk2 Coilovers is adjustable, and you have a bolt that'll kind of tighten this down, causing almost like a clamping effect to prevent the spring perch from moving any further. So with that, you'll be able to adjust it to a certain height, and you want to do that to be equal left to right. So moving on over to the shock, what you're going to do is basically set the total length of this to be a little bit taller than it should be when the car is sitting static with the ride height that you want. So one way to do that is basically install these coilovers and everything, and measure the distance from the lower bolt hole, or the lower mounting area really, to the upper mounting area of the rear shock. So basically where the upper bushings go, once the car is on the ground, again with the ride height that you want. Once you have that, you want to have this total length adjusted to be a little bit longer than that, to have the strut compressed a little bit. This will give you the optimal kind of ride quality and feel. Your car is going to compress and undulate, so when you have a little bit of wiggle room where the strut could expand a little bit more than when you're just sitting static. Say if you go over a bump in a weird way and one of the wheels needs to come down further, you'll have that extra play. So again, you want this total length of the mounting locations to be a little bit longer on the shock when the car is sitting static, once you've set your ride height with the spring perch. And just to show you guys, basically the way you're going to adjust that length is with this is the locking collar here, kind of similar to the front, and then we have the lower mount which can screw in or out, changing the overall length of this shock. So I hope you guys now have a better understanding how to set up these coilovers. Overall, it's pretty simple once you break it down, but you do want to make sure you have, again, everything locked down properly. So tighten these up as best you can, and maybe mark them to inspect them every once in a while. Make everything equal left to right, and enjoy your ride. Thanks again for watching this video. I hope this helped answer some questions for you, but if you have any more, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. We'll be sure to get back to you, or give us a call and check out our website, procivic.com. Once again, my name is Rudy, and I'll see you next time.